What's good, man? It's OG Drip, man. It's a channel where we talk about the spiritual truth and how you utilize energy on a day-to-day basis, man. Check this out, man. Today, it's going to get a little deep, especially if you love games. But if not, just still pay close attention because you're going to see how this controller and you're going to see how a lot of different things have stronger relatabilities, different type of powers behind devices or shapes and stuff that was draw it out. Of course, you know that through the conscious community, all right? And they talk about it to a certain level, but they never get behind the level of why was it even created or why do it have this much of power from the beginning. So when we dive into these things, you're going to see exactly what I mean, especially when it comes to synchronicity of saying like the human body. So before we even get into it, let's have a deep understanding real quick. Now, when it get down to us being curation of just saying, hey, a human body and the way that it make kids nowadays is not the same way that we all was brought into this world. No, we learn how to do the things as in like knowledge of God or however you want to get lost into it, but do not, and this is the thing I be saying, do not have no damn, just turn that damn filtering system off. Just let everything come through, because at the end of the day, this is how we'll be able to be more spiritual, to see how something was created from the beginning. You get what I'm saying? To talk about all of that, because it's like in a world where something has a lot of power, where a person may not see that, right, from the conscious community, and they might shoot shots and just be like, oh, it's because they rule the world, it's because they Masons, da, da, da. Like, no, everything they do, they have a point and interest, a point and a purpose behind it. So if they're going to do something, it's going to be donated or subjected to this. So whatever it is, they're trying to pull it in from a dimension, even if it ain't here yet, which is like the ninth dimension, right? When you're talking about the numbers of 3 and how something could be magnified. So when it comes down to this, it'll be ways that they'll see something, they'll rock with that drawing the whole time. They'll never give up or switch it up. So when we say they run the same game and type of stuff like that, it be literally for a reason or for a purpose. It ain't like, one thing about it, when you get more spiritual, like once you get conscious, it's almost like you hate on the Masons. But then when you get subconsciously aware, you start actually seeing why the Masons even do some of the stuff they do from the beginning. Now, hear me out. Because a lot of times, as soon as somebody says something like that, they're ready to go ahead and just jump to putting on this suit and these shoes. But at the end of the day, that is jumping towards a bias as soon as you hear something. So when it comes down to spirituality, it don't give a fuck about what we say is right or wrong or how we see something. So like even them drinking blood and stuff like that, you might see it as wrong. You might see it, you know what I'm saying? But to them, the way that they're trying to do, they're trying to copy whatever energy there was around. They're trying to get that energy to come to them. They're trying to jump back into that cloud of existence that was already previously there on purpose. So this is the reason why some of them go to getting this type of thought patterns that these people have, because they be trying to share that person's ideal or the feelings that person went through. But before we even go into things like that and get too deep on that, that was just setting out a quick understanding. So now, when we're looking at this, what do you notice on a controller? Even around to a PlayStation 1, the first PlayStation 1. And one thing about it is, when you look at Sony, and not just Sony alone, Nintendo, Xbox, they all have a different thing, Microsoft rather, they all have a different thing that really keep them interested and even keep you liking it more than other things. Like, look at the PlayStation controller. Some people might not agree to the PlayStation, but they'll like the Xbox, right? So the thing is, at the end of the day, it's all the same button format. If you're a gamer, you would know that, right? Because you would be able to see, okay, it's a back button, left side, and a back button, right side. Left button, right side, back button on the right for this, and the back button, the top right. You get what I'm saying? So you got a bottom left and a top left. You got a top right and a bottom right. So when you're looking at these things, you might not understand an actual square, an actual thing of saying, hey, if you're doing something from the left side of your brain onto being up front and bringing it out to the light, that'll be the top, the first. The number 1 represents light, something that's being brought up front. So even in the world of darkness, it comes from the dark first, but in this world, we see it first from whatever hit the light first. So therefore, he's first in his realm, in the world. So you got L1, the left side first, or the bottom part of the left side, which we talking about using the subconsciousness, or talking about using the lower natures, aka this is the reason why this button is on bottom. So when you're looking at it, you have a high and you have a bottom to something, the left side. So this is anytime you're using the left side of your brain to look at something from a different point of view, and this is just a flat surface, because you have something in the middle called analogs, and these would be represented as the angels, which is when they come up to a upwards degree, and the downwards ones were known as demons, or a downward way of looking at something. So even when you play games and stuff that consists of a controller, when you aim the analogs down, you normally aiming down or looking down, depending on what game you're playing, right? So when you get these type of things going on, a lot of people don't realize this is how our brain is like separated into 4 different ways of looking at something, right? Because you can look at something right-sided, and it could be just you looking at it from a logical perspective of something positive or something that you trying to bring in the light. Then you can look at it like R2, something that you're not really trying to bring out there. You'll rather wait till something happen before presenting it, or something that you don't even try to bring out front anyway, so you'll just leave it in the back. Number 2. So that's why you got it at the bottom. You get what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So when you understand hieroglyphics, and you can understand why this controller is even powerful, why Sony itself even represents with these box, triangle, and square, and X, you'll understand more things, like a circle, the circle of life. You got life and death. You get what I'm saying? So you can always spin around your life, or you could take the wrong turn in life. You get what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, when you look at O, even all the way down to the old games like Madden and Game Day and stuff like that, most of the spin buttons was O. So even that, and then sometimes when you look at it, right? When you look at square, what is a square? A square is like a separation between 2 planets that's having 90-degree angles between each other, which is 4 of them. So at the end of the day, it's a 90, 90, 90, 90. So at the end of the day, it make it look like, hey, this is something I don't necessarily want to go through, but I ain't have no choice but to face this. Like someone say square up in life and shit like that. So at the end of the day, if you ever look at this is the way like they'll use in a football game, for example, right? To dive, to tackle, or they'll use in a action game to pull up on something. So it's a lot of different ways that these people use things, a triangle, a trine. So when you're looking at things like this, you can understand the astrology of where it was going on, what was going on in the heavens, and how they bring it through the mental realm, and then how they bring it through the physical realm to be like, oh, boom, this is what's going to be accepted by the people, whether they know it or not, because this energy is already something you're doing, but you just don't realize it. So then you got the left, up, right, down, right? So a lot of people don't realize something if you do, let's say an offset person thinking, someone will be like left. So that it could be represented with air. Someone that's looking at something that's always under something, right? Or down, stuff like that. That'll be emotions or water in that sense. Something to the right way to see something, logic. So this will give you, you know what I'm saying, the real way to see something, how somebody would say, the logical thing, like look what was played out. So that's the right. So then when you look at it, the up on the pad, you got what you're looking up to. You get what I'm saying? What is in front of you? Where is you trying to go to? So even in the game, of course, if you're walking up, you're trying to get to something. So at the end of the day, when we understand these directions of how Masons even control the world, we could break it down to saying, hey, they even have you control the world by having an controller in your hand and have you playing different worlds, aka different type of games on different strategies and different levels. So I just was breaking it down to that, to just like it be a simple understanding. And I was using football and sports references because most people that probably play games, especially if they're around the time I was born and stuff, they'll probably be more interested in those type of games. Because one thing about it, you still have a game system before this one. But at the end of the day, why does this game system have so much weight? Why does this game system have so much power? And that's the same thing you got to figure out with when you come down to like looking at Nintendo and looking at how they buttons designed, looking at the A, the B, the Y, and stuff like that. Then you understand, oh, X's and Y's. Oh, okay, that's points of directions. That's talking about something that's going vertical or something that's going horizontal. Once again, they done did it, the same thing they did to us in school. But now it's just on a controller, it'll be faced different like that. So it's a lot of different things. Even when you look at the Xbox controller, right? You have a right bumper, left bumper. You get what I'm saying? And you have a bottom bumper, the left bottom bumper, and then you got the right bottom bumper. So it's still the same thing. It's just switching up the buttons, but at the end of the day, it's still the same practice. It's still the same ritual, draw it out. You get what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I wanted to break that down to the simplest terms. If y'all want me to go even deeper, I will. So that's why I'm kind of skimmed through it. I'm in the car, I'm all hot. I'm under the weather, but I still wanted to get this video out, especially when it comes to stuff like this, because it's more ways to looking at it, especially when you're trying to get more spiritual. You don't need to be hating on everything. You have to literally come naked. You got to take all this shit off. You got to take all that knowledge, all that bullshit off, and come to God and be like, what you got for me? You feel me? Real talk. And that's the only way you're going to receive the things the right way. Otherwise, you're going to be hating on other people's creations or not seeing how the people even rule the world from the beginning. Like, it's crazy, but that's how it get. So it get real inverted. You got to, okay, yeah, I got to find out who's ruling the world. Oh, damn, they ruling the world? Oh, that's fucked up. But then you got to bend back down and say, oh, why is they ruling the world? How is they doing it? What make this sign so powerful? What make this equipment so powerful? So when you start seeing stuff, you'll be like, damn, they do always stick with them signs. You'll go back to your conscious shit and go back to the shit you used to see. Oh, damn, they do always use that red cross. Damn, they always use that shield. Damn, they always use that serpent. Damn, they always use this crowd thing. Damn, they always... And that's letting you know they're trying to attract that energy. It's letting them like they put in a position, like direction. Like, hey, come here. You get what I'm saying? So Anytime you get to stuff like that, even with these analogs, like I said, you got a downwards way of seeing something, and you might be going in the wrong direction. You see what I'm saying? So you might see something a different way, and then you got the analogs going separated in that case. You might be going left, and it's time to go right. You might be over there trying to be like, nah, I don't need to be too logical, and it's the time that the evidence draw right there in the sun, or right there in the sand, or however you want to see it, right? So at the end of the day, this just to show, even down to the step, now you got a PS4, so now I add what? The share button, the options button. So now you can share the things that you experience. You get what I'm saying? So now when you press this button, you're able to broadcast it across the world. Stuff like that. Now you're able to show your abilities of how you control the game. You get what I'm saying? Like, man, it's deep. Even EA Sports is in the game. That type of stuff, when we used to grow up and hear all of that shit, used to have power behind it. And some people just be like, oh, what is it? No, it's the practice they putting behind it, bro. Anytime you do something in a certain moderation, bro, and you keep doing it, and then you have your day off or the break timing, just letting you know you're not overindulging, this is when things start to get to play out. So we can see how the Masons even controlling stuff to today. Instead of us hating and be like, damn, they got the world under control. Oh, we need to blow them up or whatever. Nah, you just sit there and you be like, you know what, I could do that same thing. But if we was all to do that same thing on different levels, we won't even need the Masons to direct us nowhere. Because at the end of the day, they the ones be like, hey, take this controller, and we the ones thinking that we got to press their buttons in order to play their game. But when we could come up with our own console or our own system of designing and getting things done. So that's another way of looking at it. Just like I say, a gaming system or a PC, a system, all of these systems, it's just letting you know that it's man manipulated or saying that they're designed it for certain control. So this when it comes down to demons, they getting things, they feel like they, instead of them needing something to be done through people, they just forced you to do it. So they force our needs to be something that we have to do. I mean, their needs to be something we have to do to fulfill their needs. And that's the reason why it seems like the rich are always getting richer, or it just seems like they're greedy. It seems like it's not enough for no matter what you go on. So it's like vampires. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, they just need this energy to drink away. So when it comes down to us creating new things or having a mind to be like, nah, fuck all that shit, they don't like to deal with people like us. Because they'd rather be like, nah, that person is too powerful. They have too much a sense of their own directions. I can't tell them to go left. I can't tell them to go right. I can't tell them what's up. I can't tell them what's down. Because sometimes people be looking up in life and thinking that's where they want to get at, right? And when they get there, they be like, damn, this was the wrong thing. I wish I would have never got here. AKA like a lot of rappers and celebrities. What they thought was up ended up being a hard head fall first into the ground, worse than what you was in. Now you ain't have to worry about taking care of 50 people and performing songs unless you wanted to or had the passion behind it, right? But now, shit, you ain't got no choice. You get what I'm saying? Now you ain't got no choice. You already in it. People depending on you. Now you done made it out of a necessity that other people need you. You see what I'm saying? And now these demons like, hey, bro, you don't give us what I need. We against you and stuff like that. So even when it come down to how we even operate without the Masons, and sometimes that's what I be saying with these country communities. Every time somebody died, it ain't the Masons that did it. It be our own fucking people. Because we don't understand hate, like hate and jealousy, bro. It's real deep. They don't understand love at all. But they damn show like the hate and jealousy. So even time you look at internet and stuff, it's more going to be full towards something that's negative. That's what they like to pay attention to because that's what's around. So at the end of the day, we can't just keep allowing that light to be in. We got to come as light workers and show a different path, a new way. And then once that new way is showed, then others can fix their way of adjusting to that. And then after that, others will be able to be like, okay, I see how y'all did that and did that. Well, we're going to take this and go here. So they learn how to be immutable the right way, not just drop the whole situation and just have everything just be a waste. But at the same time, taking it and knowing how to transition it or transmute it into something being in a better position or a better place that we're able to work out or a different way that now the world is able to make money or the world is be able to see things in a different light, which is like politics today, right? So it's basically like that's the things and the gifts and the talents that we'll be able to receive. But anytime we hating on a certain spirit that's somewhat of head or where we want to be at in life, that be like that biasness. That be the shit that like hold you back. So you got to know how to throw all that shit out the window. Even when it comes to your love, you got to know how to throw it all out the window to see what's really right, to see what direction you actually headed in, and not being controlled or being you get what I'm saying, being controlled, aka you're being the person you're actually being the controller, even though you're the one pressing the buttons. You ain't even got a mind to press your own buttons. So it's like, and then that's another thing, metaphysics and it be disconnected from the spiritual realm. So you got the physical and you got the mental. So a lot of times when things like this get brought into the mental or the physical world, someone think that's the best way to play it out. But like, no, your sense was to see how this thing why it's getting played out in the beginning. So then after that, if you would know where you was going or know what you was looking at from the beginning, then you couldn't worry about getting lost unless you got lost in the middle of the end. But if you came in the middle lost, So you came in the mental realm or the physical realm, just taking what was already created and just going off of there. You're never going to beat their system. So I'm basically, what I'm saying is, if you're going to sit there and make a fake Sony that look just like this controller and not have your own way of making it, man, you're going to get whooped. You're never going to outsell Sony. So this is just realistically. And if you do, it's going to be something in your product where it's not able to uphold the energy that you're trying to put out. So now, with knowing stuff like that, if you is a game developer or stuff like that, now you can see, oh, maybe I need to use their signs and symbols and or my own representation and to show why I'm putting this in this position or why I'm making this be played out. So then you can see how they do that anatomy shit from a controller's perspective of how they do it on the human body. How they control what a person do, when they do it, how they want them to get it done, how they control a person's time. They ate. You get what I'm saying? And you already know 24 hours of the day, 3 8s. So it's 3 worlds. It's split up in 3. So when we looking at that, we got to remember it's the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. But at the same time, they block you from the spiritual. So they only keep it into 6 dimensions of saying the consciousness. So therefore, the only thing you can help is in this world. Nothing out of this world, which would be considered the spiritual, which is not connected to this world. So just to get a deep understanding, that is how that, you know what I'm saying, works. But anytime we can't do that, then you won't have the gifts of how I got up here and just broke down the controller of saying, you know, the right side of your brain being on the high or the things that you want burn to the light. And the number 2 being the low or the bottom of the things that you're trying to hide or the things that you keep it shielded by keeping something else in front of it. So it's shit like that where you'll be able to break down controllers, be able to break down why they even put this amount of buttons, why the buttons even go in the direction that it go, and so forth. Even why a house is made like it ain't, because we already did this as when we started making babies. Just like now, how we got little babies and running around. When we got here, we wasn't babies running around. We was grown-ups that learned how to make babies. We looked at like, okay, how we got made? Oh, damn, sex. Okay, we got made through a thought and emotion. What if we put our thought and emotion together? What would happen? So once we figured that out, we figured out how to bring in something to existence, as in saying like a physical child, a physical thing. And not only that, we learned how to make land masses and all with just a mind. But now humanity is so far behind, we got to relearn all of that just to be able to be on the same level. So that's the reason why you got people out here, and they don't care what moderation, don't care how many views they get. Because at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? You can't care about that type of shit. You just got to go out here and go for what you know, especially when you're doing it the way I'm doing it, man. It's just like, hey, it don't matter if that bitch get 3 views. Go out there and talk that shit. You know what I'm saying? Somebody got to hear, hey, it might be something important for somebody. And even that, bro, how does YouTube and stuff is, I'm telling y'all, it's like a new age Bible. So it might even get to a point where they try to delete YouTube or something like that. And by having so much power and stuff like that, it leave a cloud of existence. So no matter what, you're able to go to this cloud and able to transfer these things. So that's another reason why they use this iCloud thing. But that's a whole nother thing. So I could get into that as well. I could even get into breaking down the Apple devices or why they use an Apple, why they use an iPhone, why they use an Android. You get what I'm saying? Like the difference between these 2 phone companies and understanding why these 2 phones outweigh the power of the day than the other ones. They're like updated versions of something, right? So when we go into that, it get deep because it's always like a form of why this technology was even created. How did they know it was going to work? So even looking at a motor, they knew to give it feminine and masculine sides. Even like I was telling y'all in one video, I was saying like the plugs or the connectors. You got a his connector and a her connector, like literally. And the reason why we named it that is because one is receiving power and one is pushing out power. So if I was to talk about the jumper cables, it's the same thing. You got a ground wire, which is the dark, the black, which is something that be receiving energy. So it's trying to receive a grind, it's trying to get something off of it. And then you got one that's pushing out, which is the red one. So it's the same thing, man, as it's saying the left, right again. But this is just being more based of just saying, hey, pick a side. But normally when you pick a side, it still got another side to the story. So when I'm breaking down this, that's the other side to the story. Oh, the shit you ain't heard of, the shit you ain't see. You get what I'm saying? Logically. Or the way that I felt logically. Or this was really going on even though nobody couldn't see it. You get what I'm saying? The left side. So being the opposite of logic, but at the same time being the second in nature to come into it. So this is when we get down to breaking down these directions of the controller, man. I just wanted to show y'all that. Like, nah, we don't need to be worried about, okay, here go the controller, it's created. You need to look at the things that like, okay, what made them create this in the first place like this? And why did it work? Even if that person was a fool and created a controller the correct way, this is why it worked. This is why it had so much power behind it, because it was already practicing these rituals. They just took it and place it somewhere else, like they've been doing. They just take all that practice and they make it to a place, a person, or a thing. That's all they do. They take it and they be mute. They be like I said, they be the devil. So it plays in reverse. Instead of you being able to look at these things and be like, oh yeah, cool, and leave it alone, they be like, yeah, this is what you want. This all you want. This all life. This is it. And it's not. And that's why Satan is like, this life that they're living, they think like this is it. They don't want to go nowhere else. They'd rather be reincarnated. And the same shit goes on, man. I'm just saying they'd rather keep playing the same game. They don't want to update the system. You get what I'm saying? The only time they updating the system is a damn quick update of saying, okay, we could think different. But otherwise, when it comes to changing the hardware and the formation and stuff, they're not going to do it. It's the same game. It's going to become with different skins, different tricks. And even with new games now, they got skins. You see what I'm saying? Like, man, listen, it all come out and it all stick for a reason. If these people didn't want it to come through, it wouldn't have came through. So all the country computer heads and all them people that be studying on the internet, listen, the thing you finding, it wouldn't even be on the internet if it wasn't meant for you to find. They literally want you to find it. That's why they put it there. You might, I had to put in certain buttons and certain discoveries to find, but listen, they wanted you to. So no matter what level you think it was on, they knew, hey, we got so much stuff out there. You liable to jump into a biasness, aka you liable to see what shoe fits you or what suit to your ability. Shit like that, how to use words, what's suitable to you. You know what I'm saying? What shoe size it is. So it depending on how you want to take it. And they like to, they get deep, man. But anyways, man, I just wanted to break that down to showing y'all how different levels of how things being curated from a spiritual perspective. Just saying like a ninth dimension getting brought into this third dimension and being accepted by the world, aka how the world see it, which is the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension. So this is what's being actually seen, and this is how people feel about it. And this is what people think. Now people got thoughts on it, feelings for it. You got some people right now do anything for a PlayStation. You get what I'm saying? Shit like that, or anything for a gaming system. But I just wanted to break that down, y'all, to show y'all the different levels, man, because it'd be truly amazing how you could just have a thought then and just like, oh, why is this like that? And then you get all these downloads and intellect, and you got to just take them. You can't be like, oh, but I don't like this about it. Oh, but why? It's like, nope. You just got to take it for what it is and then just go push it out. Take it and push it out. Got to go push that bit out for what it is. Don't try to shape and change it and scope it and all this type of shit and then bring it out and then people looking at you like, what the hell? Like, man, you made this shit suit your ability. Like, you the devil, motherfucker. But anyways, man, that's all I'm going to say on this topic, man. I'm out. OG Drip.